Hi everyone, welcome to the Idaho Authors Showcase. My name is Janet Ravenscraft and I will be your host today. This show will be about authors and their stories. We'll find out about why they write and why this book. And then how they write. Do they use a computer, a laptop? Are they longhand? Are they recording? When they write. Are they writing daily? Do they set a time? Maybe it's the middle of the night. And what they write. Is it fiction or nonfiction? Do they like romance or sci-fi? Motivational or is it scary? Thank you all for joining us today. Now get a cup of something, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hi everyone, welcome to the Idaho Authors Showcase. I'm your host, Janet Ravenscraft, and today my guest is Kalene Williams. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for inviting me.
I know, I'm so happy. So Kalene is the author of Birth of a Rifter. And so tell me a little bit about this. Why this book? And I know when we had a conversation, you've been working on this for a number of years. So
a very long time, yeah. Well, really how it all got started, I kept seeing this, whole other universe in my mind. And it all started with my very favorite place in all 5 planets. It's the jungle of Kalene. It's these giant twisting trees that, in the center they reach higher than Everest on Earth would.
Now, how old were you? How old were you when you started this? When you started creating these other planets?
Officially starting to create Krunthi, I was probably like 11 or 12.
Oh,
so it's been, a very long time. And Kalene was like that very first place that it started. And from there, I kind of like put my own character that, I had been like role playing with and like, in the chat rooms and the forums, kind of developed her into the story, and that's where it initially started. So
yeah, that's interesting because there's this whole, I didn't realize that. So what is that program called, or that online?
The forums?
The forums, okay.
So those, basically you can go in, and I don't know if they're still around because this was, back when I was younger, was like the thing for like young writers to do. You go in, you find a story that someone's created, this world that someone's created, and you write out a whole character, their strengths, their weaknesses, what they look like, if that particular
so it's kind
world
of an online
has powers.
Group,
like
right?
Back in school when you, you'd write a couple sentences in writing class, then you'd pass it along, and then by the end of the, the rotation, you'd have this whole story from everyone's perspective adding on
to the reader.
So it's like this continuous back and forth. Okay, well that character did that. What's my character going to do now?
So that's always been, were you one of those in young elementary school that wrote your own book and stapled it?
Yeah, for sure. I did. I learned how to bookbind because anything to do with writing and books is just really fascinating.
So I was just say, so how many books do you have that you created yourself? Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Did you save any of those?
I saved my very first one. There was a book of poetry that I had put together that I have about 6 copies of those. I had done in leather and wood burned in the title. Thinking about maybe publishing that one. I'm not sure yet, but it could be.
Could be on that side of it. So Birth of a Rifter is actually the beginning. So let's talk a little bit about your covers, because I know you have original cover.
I do
and
have.
Covers are big. They are emotional. They're very personal, and you really have to have the right one. And so
I went through many cover changes before the official print.
Before the first print. So that's your first print.
This is the original cover. Everyone really loved it. They loved, the words that are here in the background kind of mixing with the branches. And this is Pierce, the main character. But my problem with it when I started developing my second cover in the series was that you can't even see my name.
Yeah,
you can't hardly see the title.
Yeah, you can't read it because it's in black on the blue.
It's just I kind of realized that I was still hiding. It's like, yes, I had published, and it was like the most emotional roller coaster ever. But I was still, like, oh my gosh, am I really doing this? Am I really putting, because there's a lot of myself hidden in these words. And so I needed to do a better cover. I
like this was because then it tells you it's book 1. It's much more, and then with your name at the top, now you can see it. So I think that's so that's going to be in the reprint.
Yes. So there's only a few copies of the original cover, and this is what's out there now for all the rest of the prints. Yeah, I completely took that other one off. But that's something I remind myself is. How far you really put yourself out there. And that's one of the struggles I'm having with book 3 right now, because there's a lot of things happening and concluding, and I need to let go just a little bit more to give it just that little bit of extra oomph.
To finish it off. Yeah. I was going to say, and you are, you create your own book covers too.
Yes.
Which...
Yeah, I do everything from the first draft to putting together the book insert, wrapping the cover, creating the cover.
That's
whole nine.
That's truly because majority, a good portion of us have somebody else do it for us because it's like, I don't know what I want. But I know for me on my book cover, that probably took me longer to do that, several months till you could find that one. And I know I had probably 15, I don't know, different ones that I go, no, that's not okay. No, that's not quite. No, no. And I try somebody else and try somebody else, So, so that's pretty amazing on your side to be able to do all that. What's your favorite part? You kind of talked about, I want to go back to vulnerability, because I know in that portion that when you get ready to print that first one, that there's a big anxiety that comes up. And
yeah, I kind of put Krunthe out into the world, like with the forums. I had kind of tested it to see how people would, react to it, and people seemed to really like it, but I hadn't, really gone beyond,
When did you print?
November 24th in 2014 was the initial first
date. Okay. That isn't that funny? That date to exactly when it goes into print, because it's like, okay, that's that date that it's like, okay.
Yeah, for 3 days I was a ball of tears, and then I was laughing, and then I was just kind of like blank, and then 5 minutes later I'd be crying again.
So when you get that first review, those first few, it's like, okay, because you're still going to get those ones that say, I didn't get any of this, but the other ones go, I love this, I can't wait for the second book. And
actually, the scariest part was publishing book 2, because I got really good feedback on book 1, and now I'm like, okay, so now I'm continuing the story. People are kind of getting into it. Is it going to be one of those things where, for movies, it's like, I loved the first one, didn't care for the second one, So I'm just like, I really hope I took it in the right direction.
Same anxiety for the second one. I can see how that would be in a series.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would say even for starting out on a new book, you're still each one.
Yeah.
I think there's a part of you, because you spend so much time writing in it. Like you said, it's fiction, but it's still people that you've created, personalities, things that you've used on it. So what is your process then? Are you a long right hand? Do you use computer, video, audio?
I mainly write by hand.
Oh, okay.
I get the best connection to what's going on in my head when I have an actual pen and paper in my hand.
Okay.
And then I take that and I retype it on the computer, because after a while, you can't really see through all the scratches and everything. Print that out, and then I start over with writing by hand. I just read off that, make my corrections as I need to, and it's just a constant retype, rewrite, print, rewrite, until I stop making edits.
And then
I know that it's getting close.
Now, do you do send it to a proofreader at that point, or?
Yeah, I have a few people read through it, because at that point I've probably read it like 600 times. So
I was amazed on my own, is that in the edit process, I hired a proofreader. I had an editor. I read it myself way too many times, and that even on that second printing of it, of how many edits I still had, I go, So.
Oh, my favorite one. I had purchased 20 copies just for myself when I very first had published it. I was so excited. I get home, lay down in my bed, I'm going to read my book officially as a book, not just a stack of papers. Page, like 3 pages in, there's a word missing out of, the saying that,
that was your main saying?
That was, my main saying for that page, and I'm just like, oh my god. It's initially, get my computer out, fix it now.
So as you were reading, did you go through and fix those?
Yeah, so I have a copy where, there's little post-it notes and highlights everywhere, and it's like, okay, when I can get to this, they're gonna be fixed one day.
I know, I have my proof copy with that going, oh my word, how do you, and I just left all those post-its in there for the same thing going, okay, this is my reminder.
And actually, at the last author meeting, someone had said that it's actually okay to have mistakes because at least 1% of every author's book is going to have mistakes. So for 1,000-page book, you're going to have at least 100 mistakes. And everyone, the room just went oh no, we can't have that. But it's it's okay. No one's perfect.
Well, it was hard for me because I was the same type of thing. It's I've read lots of books and I can usually pick those out. It's and so then my own, I go, what? That's just wrong. That's just wrong. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Thank you. Welcome back to the Idaho Authors Showcase, and my guest today is Kalene Williams. She's written the book Birth of a Rifter, and it's a series. That's the book 1. And so let's talk a little bit more about that. I know you're on book 3, you said.
Yes.
And so how's that process going? And
it's going. I know where it's ending. I know all the little pieces. I'm just trying to get it.
So is this a trilogy? Is this the trilogy then you're going to do?
I was trying to make it a trilogy, but with everything that's happening with Pierce and all the other characters, I'm probably going to need to stop it at 4.
Okay.
So I think it's definitely going to need to go to that 4th book point. Okay. For sure.
So you can get it. So you're finished. When do you think you're going to be publishing book 3 then? Are you?
Oh gosh, I was really trying for this summer. So I'm gonna push before the end of the year.
And you're obviously not writing full time.
No.
I know you have a daughter. And so.
I have a little 4-year-old. She has a birthday coming up, and I have another job that I do, and
that income, that cash cow they call it.
Yeah. so I can do this. Yeah, pretty much because I'm completely self-published. So I have to do all the marketing myself. I have to. Basically do all those edits and everything.
Are you, are you using CreateSpace? Are you
CreateSpace,
using? Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, they're amazing because, I don't have to purchase the ISBNs. They provide that for you. Plus it gets on Amazon, it gets on Kindle, it hits all those major points for, reaching people that.
Well, really it was, brilliant on their part to create something like that for authors, because that has given so many more people the opportunity to write. You don't have to wait for somebody to say your book is okay to be published. You can publish it yourself. And so I think it's opened up a whole new realm for writers and giving writers more of an opportunity, because everybody has a story and they have a right to publish it, as far as I'm concerned. On that side. Now you have another project you're working on, so tell us about that.
I do. So my daughter, while I'm writing, she would just get so upset. But Mommy, I want you to play with me. Oh, honey, I really need to get this done. I'm sorry. Okay, just give me 5 minutes. And she would just be really upset. One day, driving her to daycare, she started just babbling off stories like she does, and I just kind of went, wait a minute. What happens with the princess and the queen? And she goes, well, the bandit comes. So it's developed into we're writing a children's book together. I'm sort of interpreting this, 4-year-old tale into a cohesive string, and then she had drawn up a couple drawings, and that was my inspiration for how I did the characters. And I just have the cover left to do, and that one's going to be printed too for her special story, and that's really helped her understand, a
little bit more
why mommy's doing this and why it takes so long, because I've kept her through every process. I'm like, okay, well, we got to go through these words again, make sure they're right. And she's like, okay.
And here's the picture, and that's it. What a great project, though, and what a great opportunity for the two of you to spend it together.
Oh, yeah. No, she loves it. She's like, can we work on it? And at one point, I had it almost done, and she's like, okay, well, but the bees need to chase the rock monster. And I'm like, okay, all right, I guess I'll put that in there.
An edit. Let's do that edit.
Yeah, you are the author of this, so yeah, okay, I'll just get on that.
Well, how cool for a long term. I mean, something she'll have for the rest of her life that I wrote this at, when I was 4.
Yep.
So, yeah, and you wrote it together. Yeah. So, and you're publishing that, you're doing all the pictures.
I'm doing all the illustrations, and, just like I did with my books, getting the cover together.
But you've got pictures inside.
Yeah,
children's book, there's pictures inside too. So.
Oh yeah. It's going to be a full color children's book, and then at the very end, there's 3 pages that they could actually color themselves that I'm going to put in there. So
on that side of it,
just because she loves to color, and that's it's her book, so it needs to be all about her. So.
There you go. Great. A great suggestion, and something that other people can do with their other authors. You have young children, or even middle school, whatever, how to encourage them to write too. So I think that's a great idea. And so, I'll be looking forward to seeing it when it comes out. And you're trying to do this by her birthday, right?
Yes, I want to have it all done, published, and out there, so that I can get a copy sent, and she can open up on her birthday and have that for herself.
Well, congratulations on
Thank
that.
You.
So now let's ask about, so this is fiction. Have you ever wanted to write nonfiction? Is that something you ever want to do?
I kind of have. I really wanted to do like my mom's story, but I kind of want to mix it in with mine, because I've learned a lot of things about her past and my family's past, just through instances in my own life.
Okay.
So I kind of wanted it to be, it's like a fiction based off, real life sort of a thing. But yeah, I've been for a few years. I've been sort of thinking, still in my head outline, but thinking through it.
Well, you're so much in this world here.
Yes, yeah. It wakes me up at night sometimes, and
I can imagine that, especially when you're in the middle of it, that you're always trying to figure out.
Yeah.
So your inspiration, you just kind of let it flow.
You
built these characters. So.
Yeah. If I don't have any ideas, I just wind up rethinking over scenes that I've already written, and rethinking about them, and just playing them through like a movie in my head. And then sometimes, a character will just like pop up, and then I'll see this like whole new scene. And my mom says I get this look on my face. She'll be in the middle of a sentence, and she'll just stop, and she'll be like, "Do you need to go right?" And I'll just run and just quickly jot down. I'm assuming you carry a tablet with you at all times, because pen and paper everywhere.
Pen and paper.
Yeah.
Do you audio record anything, or?
I don't. I can't listen to my playback. I just can't.
Now they have where you can record
the text and send it to speech.
And then you can send it to somebody else of the program, and it'll even transcribe it for you, so then you don't have to listen to yourself.
I tried to do that once. I was in the car, and I knew I had that option on one of the programs, and like half the words, there's like spaghetti, and I'm like, that's not what okay, this isn't gonna work. I just need to write.
that autocorrect. I've had that conversation with other authors. Is that something about the autocorrect, and that you end up spending more time editing, because when
editing
you
your quick thought, then actually getting it out.
That doesn't flow at all.
Pen and paper all the way. Can't lose there.
Yeah, that's it of it. So, where do you see yourself here? Doing the rest of this year. What's
the rest
on
of
your
this year?
Agenda?
Definitely finishing all these projects that I have going. Hopefully I'll have book 3 written, published, and working on book 4. Wrapping up the series and figuring out what the next series is going to be. It's still going to be in Krumthi. It's going to be one of the characters that have already
you get a
been
spin-off,
introduced
like a
and,
spin-off, and
like a
start
little
over
spin-off
and do their side of it.
Get closer to, this, this whole point that, because I have this like whole like point in mind.
How many planets? You said you have several planets.
There's
so
5 planets, 2 suns. There's this void. There's the divine. And there's like a whole thing with them that happened with them. Long millions.
So you could
of
be
years
writing
ago.
this the rest of your life then.
Yeah, and I want to put together like a chronicle where it has like all this information, all the maps I've drawn, and
well, you're gonna have to start putting in the front of the book so they can that tree,
Yeah, yep. And you start doing that.
You've seen some of those where they give you, okay, here's the tree, and if you pick up the middle of it, it's like, okay, where does this one fit in? Yep. It's the creative mind. I don't go there. I love to read the fantasy, the other worlds, that type of thing, but I don't think like that. So I think that's why I appreciate those that do, because it fascinates me where your mind can go.
I don't. My dreams are so extremely vivid. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, okay, no, this is the real world. All right, I'm back, and I could just be driving and something will hit me, and it's just never been something I could turn off.
Yeah. So you're just used to it though. So
I've always just like had to write. It was the only way to get it out of my head. Otherwise, it would not leave me alone.
So do you do any reading other authors? Do you have time for your own reading? Or?
I make time for that because for me it's really important to get away from my own words for a little while, and I make sure to when I am in the middle of writing to read other authors that are sort of similar in my voice. Because I was reading this one series in writing book 2 that is completely different from the voice that I use and I was writing at the same time as I'm reading the series. And then I'm going, because I just will write through until I can't write anymore, and then I'm going back to the beginning and I'm reading and I'm like, my face dropped. I'm like, oh my god, it sounds like this other person. I freaked out. I had to do like a major overhaul. So yeah, definitely stick to similar voices when I'm writing and reading at the same time. So.
Well, that's a good. I was going to say that's a good put out there for other writers so that they know that same thing. Yeah. You can be affected by others. Yes, all right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Thank you. Welcome back to the Idaho Authors Showcase. And my guest here is Kalene Williams. We're talking about writing and her process. And so, what's your favorite thing about writing?
The initial, what I call vomit stage. It's where I get that idea and it just blah on the page, and then I get to go through and sift through all of these quick ideas that I had and, start developing those out and mixing them around. And
so I'm thinking there's probably a number of vomit stages in the writing.
Yeah, for sure.
As that stuff comes to you.
There's a lot of people they get hung up on that. It's like, well, do you have your first draft? I'm like, I don't do drafts. I do sections of vomit that turn into more pulled together sections, and then at that point chapter. I might have that first draft.
And that's it. I was gonna say, so outlining.
The only time that I start to outline is when I need to understand where my story is going. At that point, once I have like all of these pieces, I take this section, little blurb on what it's about, and then I can see visually, okay, well, that needs to be moved here. I have too much of that. Yeah. And then I throw the outline out and I start
So do you do a storyboard? Some people do a storyboard on the wall and do pieces and parts to fit in.
If like I have an idea, I'm not sure where to put it yet. I have boards all across my room where I have things pinned up, and if I want to stay away from
something, but you don't know where it's going to fit into.
If I want to stay away from a section for a little while, I'll pin that up there so I don't forget about it.
And I think when you go to write your story about you and your mom.
That's going to take a whole new process.
Well, and I bet you'll have an outline because you're going to, some of it's going to be chronological.
Yeah,
and you're going to know that. You're going to what?
Yeah, I don't need any fictional fluff and, what can I imagine in here? No, it's going to be.
I think I can say that as a nonfiction writer, that was what I had to do, is I had my outline. I knew where basically I wanted to, and I knew my title right away. Did you always know your title?
No, it went through like 4 different titles, and now I'm at the point where I don't title it until I'm almost ready for print, because I will keep changing it. And so I can't title until the very end. So book 3 is book 3 until
you get
until I get to right to the end.
And you'll get some kind of inspiration at some point of what it should be.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, I'll read it through that last time, and then I'll finally start sinking.
Well, that's good for the readers, though, because that's good for them to know that there's different processes. That's part of the reason for this show, is to let other authors tell their story, let them tell you their process, so everybody can do it, and you can do it in your own way. It doesn't take any specific line by line, this is how you write a book, and I think that might keep some writers from doing it, from writing, so we appreciate that. So what's something you want to share with the reader? What would be that one thing for new writers that you would tell them that's helped you, or one of your processes?
The one thing I would want to say is, a lot of people say just keep on writing, but don't get hung up on the perfect sentence right away. That's what kept me so long from finishing book 1, was it had to be perfect the first time. And I've realized, which is why I call it vomit, specifically to put in my head. The first time it comes out, it's not going to be great, it's not going to be perfect. But that's what's so great about writing, is you can go back, you can change a word, you can flip a scene, and just keep it on.
Keep it on.
keep on.
Well, and that sense of perfection, I think that we all have a certain amount of that and that. We talked about that earlier, about that anxiety and being vulnerable, but about putting your stuff out there, and is anybody going to like it, and what are they going to think, and did I do this? And so I appreciate that. Well, it's been so nice having you, Kalene. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate that. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed Kalene's story, and if you have a story, get a hold of me. I'd love to hear it. Have a great day, and thanks for joining us.